classifications of perimeter of regular shapes. Remember, perimeter means the distance around. For example, if you're putting a fence up in your backyard, you need to know how many linear feet there are around their yard in order to go and buy your materials. The same applies to the baseboard that's on the bottom of the walls in your house. Example, Susan has an odd backyard and would like to enclose a portion of it as a dog run. Determine how much fencing she will require. So we can see her fence, and we can see the yard, and we can see that it's a triangular shape. And we need to figure out how much fence she needs. We're going to highlight and underline in our question to make sure we get the gist of what the question's asked. So pause the video right now, copy the question out, and highlight the key information and underline. Then move on. Obviously, the only thing we really underlined was fencing, because that's what we're trying to find. It tells us fencing goes around a yard. So it tells us we need to find the perimeter because we're going to go around. Now, if we look at the diagram over here to the left, it's a triangular yard. Kind of odd for a dog run, but we're going to go with it. How much fence do you have to put up? Well, I need to figure out the distance around, which is my perimeter. How do we find the perimeter of a triangle? We need to add up all the side lengths of the outside sides. Now, the problem is we're missing one of the side lengths. And Susan doesn't have a tape measure, but she measured before and she knew what the other two sides were. So how can she find out the third side length? Absolutely. Hopefully you've come to the Pythagorean theorem. So we're going to start with that. We're going to say let x represent the length of the missing side in the yard. And then we're going to set up our Pythagorean theorem. So we know the side opposite the right angle stands alone. So in the Pythagorean theorem, we're going to put 9.5 squared equals 7.3 squared plus x squared. And we're going to evaluate both powers. In order to isolate for x squared, we have to move the 53.29. To make that turn into 0, because all I want left on the right is x squared, I have to subtract 53.29 from both sides of the equation. Remember, it's like a balance scale that we're trying to keep balanced. And then we end up with 36.96 equals x squared. What's next? We need to figure out what number multiplied by itself gives me 36.96. That's going to be a lot of number crunching, but fortunately, we can then take the square root of both sides. We're missing the square root symbols. Hold on one second. Let's get the square root sign in over to 36.96. And that tells me that x, when I get my handy-dandy calculator out, is 6.07079473661. And it's going to keep going on, so I have to put the dot above my equal sign. Now, I know that this side is now about 6.1 meters. So how do I find the perimeter and know how much fence I need? I just add everything up. So the perimeter is approximately, because 6.1 is a rounded number, it's approximately 7.3 plus 9.5 plus 6.1 to give me 22.9. And it's a word problem, so to end any word problem, of course, we need a sentence answer. Therefore, the perimeter of the dog run is approximately 22.9 meters, and she will need approximately 23 meters of fencing. If she were actually buying fencing, she'd probably buy an extra couple meters just to make sure for errors or just from odd shapes that maybe she has to cut.